And folks, it is the Dynasty Hour. And with me, as always, is Fantasy Jesus. I shouldn't say as always, he had a 3-week hiatus because he got married for real. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This Jesus actually fucks. Everyone give him a hand.
Oh God.
Justin Herrera, everybody. I had to say it. And Chuck Bass, host of This Guy Sucks, and also of another fantasy show along with me over on the DJs channel. We're doing the same thing we did last week because there's a lot of rookies. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of spiciness. Andrew will join us soon. He has kids, and kids take up time. So good luck with that shit, Chuck, whenever that happens. So
foreshadowing.
But we'll talk about our first bit of news. Yeah, exactly. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the like button, do all the social media stuff that you guys already know how to do, but it helps our numbers when we tell you to do it. The first bit, Cooper Kupp is back from IR. We knew this would happen. We knew this day would come. We knew it'd probably be 4 weeks. It's not going to be the extended hamstring thing that we've seen before. Actually, I didn't know that. And again, he still could get re-injured. I guess we're kind of already giving my point. The big question is, are we still in love with Puka Nacua?
Yeah,
I'll say that. Yeah, I'll say that I am for sure. The biggest thing for me, honestly, and it's been the big thing floating around as we've all anticipated the Cooper Kupp comeback, is that they just haven't been used the same, even though they give off similar vibes as players. You know, Puka is running most of his routes outside. Kupp ran most of his routes in the slot. The Rams are running, once again, league high rates of 11 personnel. Like, this is absolute big time stuff. And Stafford is slinging it. You know, if this was a lesser quarterback in a less familiar scheme, I might be nervous. But they've shown, whether it's, the short period he had with Odell, or just the way that he's been able to elevate his game with Tutu, even getting in the mix this year. Like, I just think that nobody's going to have to suffer except for our guy, Kyron Williams, maybe.
Even Tutu Atwell?
No, I don't see why not. He's going to take those Van Jefferson targets that I keep questioning myself why he's getting them. It's driving me nuts every time. Like, get this guy off the fucking field.
I'm a reformed Van Jefferson guy, and I think it's just one of those things, like, his time to be good has been way past, and now, like you said, he's a cog that doesn't fit. Kyron, like, at least his passing volume doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had some, I just released my rankings on Twitter. Football guys ain't letting me on that end yet. I'm still on the bench there. So I released them on Twitter, and I have people asking me, should I trade? Because they see that I didn't even have Kyron Williams. I didn't even have Kyron Williams ranked in my top, I think 24. Yeah, I had 24 players, and they're like, where is he? And I'm like, I didn't forget him. Let's put it that way.
I love the contrast there, because just to show where people are at in maybe like the in-season community, Underdog Fantasy Show just ranked him as their RB3 for the week. Like, that's just like the crazy strike while the iron's hot because it's not going to be hot kind of thing. Like, just to add perspective to this.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the time to trade him, to be honest with you, because this is something that could last for the entire season, but is it going to go further than that? And I'm afraid it's not going to go further than that. I feel like Kyron Williams may be at best a one-hit wonder. But as far as the Puka Nacua thing goes, now you got 2 Cooper Kupps. Like you were talking about, Chuck, like you got somebody that can attack on the outside short routes, and Puka Nacua in college was a deep route runner. Like, BYU used him prominently as their X receiver, and he was prominently used also on the perimeter as well. I'm sorry, I said prominent twice. But anyways, he was a guy at BYU to run their long routes, their 9 routes, everything.
Yep.
So him being this guy now, him taking that Cooper Kupp role, and them having 2 of these guys, 2 elite pass catchers, I think Puka Nacua he's gonna lose a couple targets, but with his efficiency right now, he really shouldn't drop out of that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range every single week.
Yeah, and one thing that's I'm holding on to one Dynasty share. I sold another one because I I took a bag. I don't even remember what it was because I've been making crazy trades that I doubt we'll have time to talk about. We'll have the whole trade episode later. But the kind of strike when the iron's hot type thing. But one thing that's keeping me holding on just a smidge is that we've seen two wide receivers work when Robert Woods was good. Like it turns out it wasn't that Robert Woods wasn't having breakfast with Matt Stafford. He was just already cooked himself. So we see that, he's not really performing anywhere that he's at now. Houston, he had every opportunity to perform and he can't do it. Tank Dell snapped that job for him. So that holds me on. I still think Cooper Kupp's the better player right now. Like I know it's crazy. That Dove Kleiman AI bot news guy put out a video. They even move the same, and it had like them running like a cone drill. And I'm like, I know you're AI because you think that looks the same, but like anybody who understands human movement knows that Cooper Kupp is much silkier. And that's not saying that Puka is like a bad player. He's not going to be good. I'm just saying Cooper Kupp is a great player. Right? Like, let's not forget. Maybe even I've slept on him. So I guess we've kind of said all we can on here. Puka's probably going to be fine. You got to get rid of Kyron in Dynasty, guys. You got to get rid of him. And let's put it this way. One more thing. One last scenario. Let's say that the Rams continue to play well. Like Matt Stafford took a year off, basically. He said, fuck it. We're not good this year, whatever. Let's say he took a year off and like now he's healthy and they're going to keep ripping it and they're thinking about playoffs. When the trade deadline rolls around and they're still winning, don't be surprised if they make a move for running back. Don't be surprised if they bring in playoff Lenny. Don't be surprised if, just don't be surprised is what I'm saying. Because like now I've kind of bought into the Rams. So, all right. Jonathan Taylor returns. Jonathan Taylor, to me, I think he saw that the Rams that the Colts are a good team or a much better team than they were. And he's like, okay, maybe I could play here and I can help him win a couple of games. That's what I think. I think it's wheels up. He's probably fine. And if anything, he just needs to get back in game shape. But like anyone who traded for him, good for you. Justin, where are you at?
Yeah, so I have him a couple places, and I'm excited that he's coming back because I've had some troubles at running back with Saquon Barkley. But, I think that, this is the type of guy who can start to kind of temper your expectations on Anthony Richardson because of the fact that, he's been hurt so often early. I have a feeling Shane Steichen's probably going to want to use him a lot like Miles Sanders did, which is great if you stashed him away on your IR somewhere. But, he's also somebody who you were just talking about trade deadlines. That's coming up. And if the Colts don't pull off as many wins as we think they can, they might be in that sweepstakes again and conversations might get started again. And a lot of these teams that are kind of getting desperate might just say, fuck it, here's 2 seconds, here's this year's second and next year's second, and go out and get Jonathan Taylor. So I think right now his stock is sky's the limit. I think the word of him coming back now is going to kind of kill his trade value. I think a lot of people are going to either want to hold him or trade or want a lot for him. I think you really could have got the trade value a couple weeks ago when all this shit was getting stirred up and he was pretty much talking about sitting out the entire season. But now it's kind of one of those things where he's kind of saying, fuck it, I'm going to come back. We're going to play ball. And now everybody's like, all right, wheels up. We got a healthy Jonathan Taylor midseason. All the guys that had Nick Chubb and stuff like that, I'd go knocking on their doors right now. Unless they're the guys with Jonathan Taylor, I'd go knocking there right now. Hey, you want another bell cow back? All right. send me a first, maybe a second. Let's go. Let's get that deal rolling.
Some team like the Rams. I don't know. I don't know, man. It just kind of makes
Only
sense.
Somebody called that on this show 3 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot who that was.
Some sick fuck.
honestly, not much to say there. Jonathan Taylor's a good player, and yay. Like I am so fucking tired of talking about the saga, and I'm glad that he's on the field. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
Like, I could talk about trades. I don't mind talking about trade speculation, but when is he going to be on the field? You know, like that. I can't stand that shit. Pat Freiermuth injured his hamstring. The Steelers aren't very good, so if you didn't yeet him off your team, and I love Patty F, but I have him on contenders. So I literally said I would rather lose with Kyle Pitts in my lineup than lose with Patty F in my lineup with the same production. Because I at least know one of those guys, if and when he gets the ball, sometimes magic can happen. You guys want to add anything? You want to go through the Javonte Williams talk?
I'll just say, as far as Freiermuth goes, awful, right? We all have the same, we're all experiencing the same feeling together. And I don't just mean the three of us on this show. I mean everybody in the community, right? Like, you have cancel Matt Canada 24 as your headline for what feels like the 149th consecutive week, and deservedly so. So, but the bright side looking up is that I can't really remember a year where so many tight ends were capable of giving you the performances that they're giving you week to week, whether it's like a Zach Ertz or a Higbee or a Ferguson or a Jonnu Smith, for crying fucking out loud. So I think that in another year, it might be a lesser blow, but in the short term, like vacuum of how shitty the Steelers season is going to be, he might as well have not injured his hamstring. This is just a free excuse to not play him. And like, you get to already move on and find your next little bugaboo.
Yeah. So if you're a rebuilder, you're going to buy him. Honestly, tight end's so bad in a lot of places. If you're not getting it done and you're a contender, you need to buy him. But what I'm saying is, don't have good expectations this year, because like I'm starting to read Mike Tomlin's name. Normally, it's like, well, Tomlin will figure it out. But then I read today, it's like, are Steelers fans tired of Mike Tomlin? I'm like, no, they're not tired, but they're ready to put a little heat on that buttocks,
Yeah, well, it's like the Belichick thing, right? It's like, finally they've moved on to Bill O'Brien. Well, it's like, okay, well, Bill Belichick is the one who put fucking Matt Patricia as the offensive coordinator. Like, it starts up here, and it's not that you hot seat these guys. It's just that, like, now the questions are invited.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And
it's really, how many seasons can 6 titles buy you? Yep. Is really the question, right?
In Boston, we're coming up on 3.
Let's not rip the Patriots yet. We got plenty of shit to talk about. Like the Broncos, deflection. Javonte Williams injured his hip flexor. He could miss a couple of weeks. On top of that, Jaleel McLaughlin, I don't think we talked about him enough here, but he's a guy that I've picked up in a lot of different places. I am blessed. I'm blessed to listen to Sigmund Bloom and Cecil Lammey, and Cecil Lammey is like a Broncos beat reporter. So he's been saying for 3 weeks, he's like, you gotta get this guy. You gotta get this guy. He's electric. You gotta get this guy. And he kind of proved that. He had 10 yards per carry. You could take that with a grain of salt, because let's just say it, the Broncos are doo-doo. They're not good overall. But the thing is, Jaleel McLaughlin offers a lot of passing upside. So like my Scott Fishbowl team, that shout out to that, top 10 this week, I had Jaleel McLaughlin on my bench. So now I get to slide that dude in the RB2 spot, because somehow Zach Charbonnet got in that roster. Who did that? We're looking for the guy who could possibly have done this. Justin, what does the Javonte Williams injury do for you? And let's just talk about it overall. Are you worried about Javonte long term? Because I have one roster in MFL that I've abandoned because it's on MFL, and I have Javonte as my RB1. So, are you concerned? Is like the panic alarm on?
MFL, the oldest platform, but still not the shittiest. Shout out to Fantrax. Anyways, so
oh no.
So, I'm gonna say this about Javonte Williams. I was huge on him last year. He's one of the guys I avoided so much this year. I just did not want to put him on my team. I would find myself in that RB dead zone. I'd be like, nah, I'll go with somebody else. Because of the fact that, one, he was coming off a major injury, and two, he was I think it was a day 2, day 3 pick, so he doesn't really have too much capital behind him. I think that this guy has talent, but God, you look at this game plan through 4 games, you're just like, what the fuck is going on in the Mile High City? They must be smoking way too much grass up there or something. Maybe Sean Payton's gotten into the cookie jar or something over there, because this whole like Denver defense and offense, it does not look the way we thought it was gonna look. It's far away from what we thought the New Orleans Saints-esque run they were gonna have. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Jaleel McLaughlin. He went too high for me this week. There were people putting in $50 bids and $100 fab leagues. I'm like, what are we doing? This is a guy who went off against the Bears, and he might not even get the position if he gets if Javante's out. Because remember, Samaje Perine is still there, and a lot of people don't realize Perine's got 95 yards on 11 receptions. So he's doing it in the passing game too. I'm not going to say the book is shut on him. I think that there's a lot of potential there. But shit, at the end of the day, Denver has kind of been preparing for this. And Sean Payton, being old curmudgeon, he very well could just be like, all right, you know what? McLaughlin was a 1-week thing. Put some Samaje Perine in there. It wouldn't be
to make me very unhappy if he finally fucking does that now. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, you probably dropped him too. I've dropped him in a couple leagues because of his inefficiency.
He was a zero RB target for me, across the board. He's fucking killing.
Yeah, Sean Payton seems like a fuckable John Gruden right now. He's like, look at my, I look way cooler in my visor, but at the end of the day,
what makes John Gruden uneffable? I have to ask. Is it the face?
I don't know what I'll throw the question back on you. What would make him fuckable?
I don't know. That's the funniest story ever, that he got caught emailing nude cheerleaders pictures in 2020. Dude, topless chicks. What kind of old grimy boomer shit is that?
Exactly. And all he would do, his Riz is just, he's like, I know Boomer Esiason, and then this 23-year-old girl is like, okay, Grandpa, I don't know who that is.
It's so funny. I really don't mean to sidetrack this, but if you had called on me instead of Justin, I would have frozen, because when you said Broncos beat reporter, all I did was Google Benjamin Albright, who had that Twitter meltdown in April where he was posting all of the all the stuff about how he cheated on his ex-girlfriend and shit. Sorry. Not to bring that up, but that's what's on
now
my
I gotta go look this up.
It's a tough look.
I hope he didn't delete it. I hope he was a real man that kept it up.
The New York Post has
Colorado's. Yeah, I work at Colorado sports media, so for legal reasons, I will abstain from commenting.
Yes. Moving on.
He says, "I plead the fifth," like there's anybody actually watching this show.
600 viewers last week.
Oh, that's right. Benjamin Albright might be on there. Keep it quiet. We're good. Next one.
Claypool's done in Chicago.
Did he ever make it off the plane from Pittsburgh?
Can I ask you guys, before we jump into this, can I ask you, walk me through your initial thoughts when he was traded to Chicago? Because I want to know how it started and where it's landed.
My initial thought was, you paid what for who?
Okay.
Mine was,
yeah.
That's where mine was at. Was maybe Claypool can't just get it done in the Steelers. I take a lot of character stuff with a grain of salt, because let's put it that way. Let's look at Jalen Carter on the flip side. To me, for every character story or attitude story, there's a different side of it, and I try not to fall into that narrative because it ends up being wrong sometimes. But damn, and you know what's crazy? I don't even think he's wrong. He looks like shit when he's on the field, but I don't think they were using anyone correctly. And DJ Moore was mic'd up on the field and said the same thing. So where is that? Where am I at? And where did it go? I don't know, man. I definitely have a lot of Claypool in Dynasty, but that's because people were trying to throw him in to, just to get him out of there. So
he's a kicker.
Yeah.
They're just
where
tossing
are
him
you
in.
at? Exactly.
I feel pretty similarly into regard. Well, yeah. Initially, I was like, okay, good, fresh start, because Steelers wide receivers, unless you're Martavius Bryant, actually have a nice little run once they leave Pittsburgh because they're all developed pretty well and they were all pretty talented coming in, like Emmanuel Sanders, Mike Wallace. There's a lot of guys you can name that had like a moment immediately as soon as they left Pittsburgh. But you're right, it's like this era was like the blip from Marvel. Like it feels like it never happened because the Chicago Bears have been nothing while over the last 2+ years. So it's hard to even pull away anything from the situation. I do agree with Justin where I was like, 32nd or like the first overall pick of the second round or whatever it was. Like, I was just like, Jesus
that
Christ,
was
that's
the
a lot.
32nd pick. Like that was 33 was 32. So you got a first round pick essentially for that. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Brutality. R.I.P.
Yeah, it doesn't. And like to me, they got a clean house. Ryan Poles has got to go. Like it's all over. Next pick is Breece Hall.
Did you guys see Ryan Poles like celebrating going into the fourth quarter of that game? Like he was legitimately like fist pumping and everything. Like he was so excited. And then they shit the fucking bed in the fourth quarter, and you just see his face go like, "I'm losing my job."
It's a tough rap.
Everybody is.
Tough rap, buddy.
Fields is. Yeah. Ryan Poles, he's got to trade Fields to the Falcons or something. Like, I want him to go to the Falcons because I'm invested in the Falcons, and I think he's better than Desmond Ridder. So I don't know. Like that whole situation just got to get blown up. Breece Hall is no longer on a snap count. We'll keep it brief because we're way over. We told you Dalvin Cook is cooked. This is why you don't buy old running backs, especially on new teams. You were probably already starting Breece Hall anyway. Cool. He's got the Broncos this week, so enjoy your 30 points.
I'm good with moving on. That's all that needs to be said.
Exactly. We are going to pay some bills. Make sure to like, subscribe, as always, guys, and go to Spotify and Apple. Leave us a review. And then we'll leave you a brief message with our pals over at Underdog.
Fantasy Sports Corp and Underdog Fantasy have teamed up to start your fantasy season off in the win column with Best Ball. What is Best Ball? It's quite simply the easiest way to win. No team management, no trades, no waivers. It's their biggest contest ever and it has only gotten bigger. You simply have to sit and win. You don't even have to set your lineup. Always get your best score every week. Just enter a contest, draft your team, and Underdog will do the rest. What could make this even better? How about free money, up to $100 using our exclusive promo code? Go online now and use the promo code TSS Dynasty to double your deposit up to $100. You tell them Gingerbread sent you. Good girl.
Good girl. And we're bringing back the same topic we had last week because, again, we went over last week. And we're talking buy or selling rookies. And there's plenty of pass catchers to talk about, and I need to actually add a couple on here already. My boy Michael Wilson. It's crazy as last week I cut him. I'm like, we don't have time. But now we do have plenty of time. But we're going to start at the top and work our way down with Jackson Smith and Jigba. He started off slow. I've had people tell me already that I have him ranked too high, and I'm at the point where I say we do this every year. We have a prospect that everyone consensusly knows is good. They either start off slow, something happens in camp, I don't know, something happens, and then we're like, no, he's not good. And then you end up buying it for cheap, and then you got a future Hall of Fame on your roster. I feel like we're kind of doing the same thing with JSN again. Chuck, I'll let you start with this one. Do you agree?
This one's tough because, like, objectively, it's pretty obvious what's happening, right? He doesn't have any chemistry with Geno because he missed a good amount of time because he was hurt. And like the negative stats you could point to, right? Like the hilariously low A dot and all the passes by the line of scrimmage are almost exclusively because he's like a last second bailout pass for Geno when he's either scrambling or about to get sacked. Like it's very obvious that they don't exactly know how to use him yet. I don't see how you could judge anything but the situation. Like the talent hasn't even gotten an opportunity to shine. My only concern would be is that what your expectations, how much you needed out of him early on, because he is like a slow burn kind of player. He already was coming out. Like we knew he was pro ready, but as far as like reaching his ceiling, we knew where he was drafted and what he was going to be asked to do. It was going to take time. So hopefully this doesn't negatively impact you off the rip. And God, I hope you can acquire him if people are souring on him already, because I think that like why you drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba was that within 3 to 5 years, he could be a top 6 to 8 wide receiver, not coming out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, it makes 1,000% sense. And like to me, this is the buy window all around. Like to me, in redraft, I'm gonna buy and have him stashed on my bench because he could pop off towards the end of the year. And like already, I like it already makes sense on film. You already see the separation. He's got some drops, like you said. Like to me, the chemistry's not there, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So this whole panic is out of hand. Like I've been the biggest Zay Flowers guy around, and I still have JSN one spot ahead of Flowers because I just like one, he's younger, and I just know I know that the potential is just, I'm sorry, it's more like again, Flowers is a great player, but and at the end of the day, Flowers could be better than JSN. But again, I'm not saying that JSN is bad. It's not bad at all. Yet. Well, like I'm not ready to panic. How are you feeling? Same thing, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I think that JSN is really just a Lockett injury away, and I mean, you never want to wish injuries on anybody, but I think that's kind of what needs to happen in order for him to get a bigger role in this offense. Right now, you kind of got to play it the way the team's playing it. The team's playing it like they don't need him right now, so they're going to kind of let him kind of develop and wait it out. And this year might be a redshirt year for him, which is fine. That's no big deal. A lot of great receivers got redshirt years, and they came back the next year more developed and in a bigger role. So if you drafted him, I'm not letting him go. And if you're letting him go, I'm buying him all day long because I believe this guy's got a lot of talent. Whether you're a rebuild or a contender, you want to get your hands on a guy who might be, like Jag said, a top 6 guy in the next 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's weird with fantasy. Like again, I think this is why like we were talking kind of in the D-Gens chat. Why I try to explain to them that redraft is like the all moving force in fantasy. Like if you want to build out if you want to build out a career in fantasy, if you actually want to make money, you got to talk redraft, or you got to be really, really successful in building up Dynasty, and it's getting so saturated that it's even hard to do that. But that's neither here nor there. I digress. The point is that every year redraft seems to push the wind, some crazy thing that JSN's not that good, and that's just crazy. This is what we're dynasty players. We're big brains. We don't do that.
So just to add on to that, I remember the first year that Justin Jefferson came out, and a guy cut Justin Jefferson after a 4-week sample size where Justin Jefferson was not producing. And I'm not going to say JSN's going to be Justin Jefferson. I'm just saying these are the types of things that happen, and I'm just backing it up with evidence because Justin Jefferson at the end of the year went on like a 7-week stretch where he was the absolute dominant force. And,
never stopped.
He took my team to a championship that year. Yeah. Because I picked him up off the waiver wires. I was just like, I picked him up. I was just like, after a good game, and he just absolutely stretched it all the way to the championship game.
AJ Brown had a very, very similar, although not as top, but he had a very similar as well, as where later in the year, just bingo.
Right.
Oh, that was a beautiful year because I had gotten Ryan Tannehill that year too. I was just like,
that was prime Tanny.
Yeah, that was a beautiful year. I won money that year. That was fun. But like, here's a guy where let's say JSN, I would feel comfortable selling, and I like Jaden Reed. And I'm one where like it'd be hard. I would sell Jaden Reed in a heartbeat for JSN straight to Cars right now because yeah, if I'm not trying to win, I can afford to wait. I had a guy try to buy him off me. He's like, well, why do you want him? He sucks. I'm like, bro, I'm 0-3 and my starting quarterback is like Jacoby Brissett. Like I'm playing for Caleb Williams. Jason is real comfortable over here in my starting spot, not getting any points. Why tank? My team's going to be awesome in a year or two, that's the game that we play. So we'll shove past that one into a guy who people think is this class's wide receiver 1. And again, I think he might be 1B, but we're getting ahead of ourselves trying to rank him ahead of JSN right now. And that's crazy for me to say. It's crazy that I'm saying that because I feel like nobody more than me is ready to make Zay Flowers wide receiver 1 in this class. Give it a couple of weeks. Zay Flowers, he looks good. The ADOT's not there, but he keeps flashing it. Like the downfield is there. A lot of this, I think, is the Todd Monken offense. I said this on DGens. This is what you got to expect. He gets his players open in space. It's a spread and shred offense. On top of, this is what we get along with a little bit of regression and design runs from Lamar Jackson. Again, Lamar Jackson could pick and choose his own adventure now when he runs. They're still going to be there, but it's not going to be 1,000 RPOs where they're running, the triple tight ends anymore. And Zay Flowers is already benefiting. He's technically already kind of broken out, and he's earning an incredible target rate. I think it's over. I think it was at 27% after week 3. I haven't had time to go through yet. Again, like this year's crazy, and I gotta.
Yeah, he's still at 28%. He's still crushing it.
28. Yeah, he's still crushing it. And Mark Andrews came back. And again, he's a wide receiver 1. It's week 4. I think Odell Beckham's a complimentary player now. I think Rashad Bateman is probably going to be playing on a different team here pretty soon. He looks really good. And I think you could buy him high. Chuck, where are you at?
No, I completely agree. And it's really fun because I think that the offense is still kind of has I don't want to say training wheels on, but it does feel like they're still trying to learn how to ride the bike a little bit to where you can see where this is going. But Lamar is still not quite used to having somebody with this level of dynamic in and out ability all over the field. 2 weeks ago, 8 receptions, 48 yards for Flowers. This week, 3 receptions, 56 yards for Flowers. This is a guy making his bread all over the field in different ways. So to be able to have that level of versatility, I think is going to be, to be able to tie him to an MVP like Lamar long term. I'm not afraid to say that I would take Zay Flowers over JSN because I think that this could be somebody who is a lockdown wide receiver 1. He is a lockstep wide receiver 1 on his team, on a great team going forward, to where I might have to worry about JSN battling with Metcalf, who just absolutely owns the Seattle organization, and rightfully so. So, I'm just about as all in as you can be on a single player.
Okay. I like it. I won't argue with you. Like I said, I'm as ready as anybody. I just know that we sometimes get ahead of ourselves. And basically what I'm saying here is we're putting Devontae Smith ahead of Justin Jefferson. Devontae Smith is a great fucking player. He's really good. Yeah. But we don't know if he's just I could be wrong. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You guys get it. Sure. Justin, where are you at?
Yeah, this is a really good class. There's some guys that are really outperforming what I thought they were going to be doing early on. Zay Flowers is 1,000% that guy. Zay Flowers is so good. He's on both my redraft teams this year. I've been fucking killing it with that Zay Flowers pick. It is 3 wide receivers. Zay Flowers is my number 3, ain't even a flex. But I love the kid. I think this offense, kind of like what Chuck said, is kind of still in that beginning stages where they're just kind of starting to get it. And once they really get everything flowing and Lamar Jackson starts to see that Zay Flowers is just about open every single time he breaks off, it's going to start being money every single week. And I've been looking at his weeks. Even when he's not putting up the yards, he's still putting up the catches. So you're still evening out. You could even out at 15 points with 7 catches and 15 points with 7 catches, 80 yards, or even 10 catches, 50 yards. You know what I mean? He's the type of guy to really take to that level where he's always going to be dependable. And I like that because when you're always dependable, there's always a chance for a little bit more upside. And when he gets those 2 touchdown games and stuff like that, it's just going to be playing money at that point. You're just going to be going with house money. It's going to feel amazing because he's your number 3 right now because you haven't realized he's actually your number 1 going into the future. If you're playing Dynasty, you just really lucked into it, man, because you've got somebody who could legitimately in the next 2 years be in that top 12 range for you. He's easily going to be a top 24 next year and maybe even this year if he continues to play the way he's been playing.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't think top 24 is out of the question. And I mean finish, even points per game. Yeah. And Chuck, you hit on a point. Daniel Harms had a really good point on Football Guys where he said the same thing. Is that this is week 4 of this offense, and Zay Flowers is a rookie too. So it's Lamar's got to catch on. Mark Andrews has been injured. So this whole offense had an efficiency performance. The yardage wasn't crazy or anything like that. But Lamar was 15 for 18 or something like that. And against one of the best defenses in the NFL. So this is the potential that we're this is potential we're talking about. So, and again, I know I scouted the shit out of her, and I may sound arrogant, but every week I look more and more right as far as my rookie scouting. Only thing I was wrong on is Tank Dell, and that was because of size. And I told y'all I was ready to eat shit on that. But to me, the downfield stuff is going to happen soon once the chemistry happens in this brand spanking new offense. We'll go ahead and move on to the next guy, who a lot of people had as their wide receiver too. I told them that I thought he was barely a first rounder so Quentin Johnston. Justin, where are we at with him?
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I think you already knew. I was a huge fan of Quentin Johnston. I don't know what the hell this guy is. I think he is somewhere in the range of a very much less talented version of what's that guy's name? Darius Hayward Bay, where he's just
Jesus Christ.
He's just that bad. I mean, I don't know, man. This is an opening and he doesn't seize it. Josh Palmer is taking your opening. You're a first round fucking pick. Come on, dude. You're built like Mike Williams. You're supposed to do everything that Mike Williams does, but a little bit faster. And guess what? You've done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not going to throw QJ under the bus completely. I think that there's still chances for him to do something, but he's got to figure it out soon because this Chargers offense is going to move along without him, and they're going to be just fine with Josh Palmer and Keenan Allen leading the way, and then Austin Eckler coming back hopefully after this week. So if he doesn't start making his money in these next couple of weeks, then we're going to see this guy pretty much turn into the next Darius Hayward Bay, where he's just going to be out of the league in 3 years or however long his rookie contract is, 5 years. I have no faith in what this guy is doing right now. I think I made that apparently clear in the offseason. He was one of my worst guys on the rookie class because I just didn't think he was anything other than a one-trick pony. He could run a 9 route, and he was kind of soft when he went up to go and get contested balls. Plus, he got manhandled by Keely Ringo in the national title game, his biggest showcase, and he only got 4 fucking yards. That is the real testament to what TCU could not do on the field that day, is Quentin Johnston could only get 4 yards. Come on now.
Justin is never going to let him forget that, because I was like, is he going to bring up Keely Ringo? Is he going to bring up
for sure.
Keely Ringo?
For sure.
Yeah, but I mean, you're preaching the choir. I told everyone, and again, they're homies, so I'm a little biased, but the guys over at the Devi Royale, Christian Williams, Kevin Coleman, and Jeff Bell, they still believe in Quentin Johnston. And I put in our group chat over there, I was like, is it crazy that I'm not going to have Quentin Johnston as a top 10 rookie wide receiver? Chris Williams said yes. And I'm like, bro, well, call me crazy. Because
not looking so crazy right now.
No, it's not. So I think we're all pretty much. Wait, Chuck, I haven't heard from you. Where are you at on here?
This one's tough, right? My saving grace on this one, at least what I'm going to fall back on, is like how completely uninvolved in the offense, or at least well used, Amon-Ra St. Brown was in his debut with the Lions his rookie year. Now, obviously, different player, different skill sets, different scheme, all of that. But like, you couldn't have asked for a worse. You want to talk about like Jackson Smith and Jigba's situation being predictably bad. Well, like, this is a Chargers team that cannot afford to fuck around right now. With all the pressure on the organization, on the coach, on the quarterback. And I know Justin Herbert's got nothing to worry about, but there is pressure on him to a level of degree. So my problem is, I think the game looks too fast for him. And so if he can't block as well as Josh Palmer, he's not going to be on the field as much as Josh Palmer. He had 70% route participation last week, which was great. And they were up big on the Raiders, and they didn't need to throw too much. And when they did need to throw, they went to the guys that they trust. Like, does he develop that trust over the course of the season? I mean, based upon the previous couple guys we just talked about, we laid out the possibility of it happening. I just have to say, in agreement with both of you all, doesn't look good.
No. And it's like I said, he could get better, man. But, like, there's just not time anymore in the NFL. I don't – like, I think that the fantasy community is a hyper advanced – hyper speed version of kind of how the NFL's gotten, where there's like zero patience for these guys anymore. We see Garrett Wilson, Justin Jefferson, like the NFL has adjusted for the passing game to work right away. It's adjusted to college a little bit more. It's kind of met it in the middle. And not so much they're like, well, we're going to let this guy sit behind Brett Favre for 10 years. And then, we're going to put him out there, even though Jordan Love's kind of doing it. And I don't know if he's good or not, but, it's like I worry that they're not going to have time. And let's say another regime comes in. Another regime's going to come in. Let's not say if. Let's say another regime's going to come in. Let's say they don't like Quentin Johnston.
You want to say it. I know you do.
Yeah. Then it could be an issue there. So to me, like, out of all the guys that we talk about today, Quentin Johnston is my least favorite. I only have him this high because I want to make sure that we talk about him. Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison, to me, he is still the least a wide receiver 4 to 3 to me. Here's where I could start to talk about Puka. I could pull up my rankings right now, but I like to live every day like it's a new day. So I've already moved on. I've sent that tweet. It doesn't matter.
Fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh. So Jordan Addison and Puka Nacua, here's where it gets fucky to me, to quote Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys. Chuck, where are you at here? And, like, I don't think Addison is the problem. I think he's in the perfect role. I think that we've already seen what it can look like. I think the problem is one of the nicest guys on the planet, and I like him a lot, and he was one of the best parts of quarterback that was pretty mid. But it turns out it's the perfect show for Kirk Cousins because he's mid as fuck. He's not that good, and he's the reason why they always lose in a terrible fashion. Where are you at?
Do you want my Kirk Cousins take or my Addison take? Because I can go all day on both of those. Addison, as far as Addison goes, we all knew that Justin Jefferson was going to be the vacuum, right? Like, that's the least shocking thing in the world. I'm actually really encouraged what we've seen out of Addison off the rip. Like, we know that a wide receiver 2 in this offense can be successful, even with Thielen. God, I mean, the Vikings have had wide receiver 2. Adam Thielen was a wide receiver 2 from Diggs to Jefferson. And Diggs and Jefferson are very, very, very elite wide receivers. Like, there's room and obviously different schemes, but like, there is room for a guy to emerge and like pick up the scraps. And for Jordan Addison, I think he kind of reminds me a little bit of like Hollywood, the way he started his career, where it's like, when you need this, I'm here for you and you can trust me with it. Now, Kirk Cousins is not really the most trustworthy guy, but that's not Jordan Addison's fault. Like, we want to worry about what Jordan Addison is capable of handling so far. And like, we know KJ Osborne's not a threat. So how long it gets there is going to be the answer, not if, for me.
Yeah, I think that Caleb Williams or Drake May or Quinn Ewers is going to look real fucking good thrown to Jordan Addison. So, like, in Dynasty, I'm starting to buy Jordan Addison because, like I said, like I said that he's not going to be a team's wide receiver 1. I don't think he can do what Zay Flowers is doing. but like kind of like what Chuck said about Marquise Brown, but like a little different. They're a little different kind of players. But in the like you said, he's like, go out there, be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I will be Martian Manhunter. Like I'm pretty fucking cool, but like I'm
Fan
not like
favorite.
your guy.
Fan favorite,
exactly.
Everybody loves him.
Yeah, everybody loves Martian Manhunter. Justin, where are you at on Addison?
I love Martian Manhunter because he's actually super underrated. He can
He's
actually
super
beat
underrated.
Superman, but he
Yeah.
just nobody ever talks about it. I like Jordan Addison. I think he's kind of like a Brandon Cooks. Like he's a really, really nice compliment player, but he's never, like you guys said, gonna be the offense, right? You're never gonna game plan for Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison is the guy who's not getting double covered. He's not the guy who's getting all the attention. That's Justin Jefferson. And rightfully so, Justin Jefferson handles that incredibly well and still scores touchdowns. But for me, right now, if I had Jordan Addison, I'd be trying to upgrade to like a Zay Flowers, and I'd be throwing him in a trade because I like the idea of dominant wide receivers over guys that could be boom or bust every week. You look at last week, he got one target in a game where he probably should have been targeted plenty of times more. You know who was getting those targets? KJ Osborne. We talk about KJ Osborne being kind of that guy who's the third wheel. Well, guess what? Every once in a while, the third wheel takes away from the second guy. He never takes away from the first guy, but the second guy and the third guy kind of like, teeter-totter between who gets the major targets this week. And I don't like that. I'd rather have the guy who is maybe on a less octane offense, like, Baltimore, for instance, where they were kind of in a blowout situation. But guess what? He still got you 3 catches for 50 yards. That's 8 points compared to Addison's goose egg. Because, they just didn't have the time. They were coming from behind, and they had to force feed Justin Jefferson the entire time. So that's always going to be my problem with Jordan Addison is he plays second fiddle. And, in a way, I don't know if he'll ever be aggressive enough to actually be like the set in stone second fiddle. Like if they always have a third receiver, I'm always going to be worried that he is going to get a target or two taken off if maybe they've got him covered very well and they've got a good slot, like maybe a KJ Osborne, or maybe they, bring in somebody else, insert a good slot receiver, Hunter Renfrow or something in there. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I'm at with Jordan Addison. It's a tough one because you really like the player, you like the profile, but you just know he's never going to be the guy. And you kind of want to draft the guy when you're drafting first overall or I'm talking about first round for these guys. You want to get somebody like that. And so if you can get like a Sam Laporta later who is going to be the guy, you probably would take a chance over that if you were to do the draft over. At least I would.
Oh, stop, Justin. You're talking all the you're getting me all hot and bothered. You're talking about my 2 sons, Zay Flowers and Sam Laporta.
I do that in there.
Brutality.
Yeah. If you could trade up and get Zay Flowers for Jordan Addison, if someone does that, that's an absolute slam dunk. Because like I said, I've been saying that Zay Flowers is the wide receiver 2 before it was cool. Next, we'll go to Jaden Reed. We'll go ahead and talk Jaden Reed. I don't think I have a problem with Jaden Reed. I don't know who sucks. Is it Jordan Love? Do they need to mesh? What is it?
What's so funny is like I was trying to find the stat on Jordan Love today, and I clicked on his shit. I was like, oh my god, he's the quarterback 3 in redraft right now, depending on a pretty standard, like typical league setting, like crazy shit. And so I don't know if even they know the answer to that question. So I'll ask you guys, do you think anybody on this team is good or bad?
I don't think Jordan Love is bad. I just think Jordan Love never got the time in the NFL to go through the lumps. So I think he's going through it right now. I mean, what I see on the field, he's not a bad player. I mean, I'm not going to say he's a consistent year in and year out QB1, but he's definitely somebody who's right now in that range of Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, where like he's a semi-good starter. You just got to pick the weeks where they're going to go off. But that could always improve as he gets more time. You know, I like his arm strength. I like his creativity. He's obviously taken a little bit from Aaron Rodgers. And I like that Jaden Reed is one of the most targeted wide receivers in the red zone right now. That excites the fuck out of me. I'm like, all right, let's go. Because I paid like a third rounder for you. Let's fucking go. I love that. I love to see that. But how do you guys feel about
I hate having to evaluate a team when they're missing what is considered to be their X main weapon. And their other main weapon has been hurt, so Aaron Jones. So it's like, can I see the final recipe? You know, I want to know what their goal is. You know, what's the final product?
And they've also had offensive linemen out too. Like that last week was actually they were playing like 2 or 3 backup linemen, and that's why Jordan Love was seeing so much pressure. So it's definitely a tough evaluation at this point. But I mean, I like where Jaden Reed is right now. I think he's got something with this team.
Yeah. And we'll blow past Puka Nacua because we talked about him at the beginning of the show, and like we kind of alluded to it, where we really like him. As far as ranking him, I think I like him ahead of Jaden Reed right now, and then now we're gonna lump this whole range together, which is Marvin Mims, Tank Dell, Michael Wilson. So I will put them in order. I'm not gonna lie, I think Michael Wilson's my favorite of the group. He really showed out. He really showed out at the Senior Bowl, and his film looks good. The problem is he had 2 problems: injuries and Stanford. You should just know, like that. That's a lot of where he didn't have the production that he wanted. Justin, rank those guys. Tell me which one is your favorite.
My favorite is Tank Dell, but Michael Wilson set the freaking world on fire this past week because he was manhandling those defenders in San Francisco, and it was just too easy for him. I think he's got a bright future for him. I think that Arizona found their replacement for D-Hop in Michael Wilson.
Yeah, and then him and Marquise Brown together look great. And Marvin Mims is someone who I really like. I don't understand why he doesn't get more snaps. Chuck, rank those guys.
Rank these guys. It was at the ranking of Mims, Puka, and Tank.
No, Mims, Tank, and Wilson. Mims, Tank, and Wilson.
I'm going to take Mims, Tank. I'm going to take Tank because I fucking love him. I think he's a beast. And I'm going to take Wilson, and then I'm going to take Mims. Mims could be interesting, though, and I wish it was more like tiers than anything else, but I had too much to drink to do that. Mims is interesting because I think he's probably going to be the wide receiver 1 going into Denver next year, you know, and that's not a knock on anybody or anything that's going on, but it's like they are about to become a fire sale, whether it's from now all the way up until we could be looking at next August for how long they're going to be selling players. Cause like Justin, you talked about it earlier, right? Like this isn't the team we expected. And I think that's because like he's doing that veteran hardo thing as a coach where it's like everybody's trying out. And it's like a lot of these guys are established and they don't need to be having going through any of that shit. So Mims is putting himself on display this year. I just want to see glimpses. I don't really need to see a lot of production out of him. I really love what you guys are talking about with Wilson. I want to attach myself to as many young Cardinals as I can, because I love what I'm seeing immediately out of the coaching staff and the offensive design and the level of play that the players are giving to the coaches in what is definitely a write-off year. But Tank is still my number 1 with a bullet out of these 3.
Nice. Sounds good. Well, we're going to pay the bills one last time, and then we'll get through tight ends as quickly as possible. As always, do all the social media stuff. I shouldn't have to tell you this much.
Do it. Come on, do it.
Jazz, Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for all-purpose online wagering. For over 20 years, Jazz has provided the best and quickest payouts in sports and entertainment wagers. Live sports betting, covering all the major sports leagues, and even into the new and exciting world of esports. Down the stretch you'll come, with Jazz's online horse wagering. Get paid when you play with Jazz's fun and exciting online casino games. Go online now and use the promo code TSS for our new members deals. Jazz Sportsbook, Casino, and Racebook, the world's best resource for online wagering.
Jazz Casino, folks. Now we're talking tight ends. I've already ranked Sam Laporta as the Dynasty tight end 1. When Brock Bowers gets in here, we'll have a different conversation. If the Falcons have a different quarterback, we might have a different conversation. But as of today, I don't think it's that spicy to have Sam Laporta as the Dynasty tight end 1. Chuck, where are you at?
No, not at all. I mean, anyone who's in the industry right now, whether it's scouts, whether it's actual film grinders, whether it's fantasy analysts, everybody's compared this guy to like your Gronks and your Kelseys and your Hernandezes, which is, sad but true, and I get it. And I love it. And I love, like you talked about in the last segment, right, attaching myself to anybody on the Cardinals. I feel as strong, if not stronger, about anybody on the Lions. And I just absolutely love it, man. You can't ask for anything more, because we need this too, right? The previous generation that was supposed to take the mantle from the Gronks and from the Kelseys and from the Ertzes, like, let us down completely. And that's for varying, reasons, right? Whether it's scheme or talent or injury or coach or whatever. For somebody to already emerge out of the next generation and be like, hey, you can start me every week, not just in redraft, but I'm the Dynasty tight end 1, like you just said, like, that is home run stuff. I love it.
Yeah, and you nailed it, dude, because I've said the same thing. It's like we haven't had the changing of the guard. Like we've watched Gronk get old. We're watching Ertz doing all right, but Pitts hasn't panned out the way that we wanted him to. Hawk has only just now kind of gotten on. Noah Fant hasn't done it. Alberto hasn't done it. I can keep naming the bodies. Hunter Henry, a little bit disappointing, So like right now, like I told someone, like, everyone's like, you're crazy, and I'm like, tight end is wide open. We've been waiting to crown. Like it's been the emperor's dead, and we need a new king, and we just needed this to happen. Justin, are you with us?
Oh, yeah, I like Sam Laporta. I think my best move of the entire offseason, I have a contender who's been like a contender for a good 5 years, and Kelsey's finally starting to age out. So what I did is I packaged 2 seconds to get into the first round just so I could draft Sam Laporta. It's already paying off. He's a major contributor in my lineup every single week. And now I got my locked-in tight end for when Kelsey's gone. I love Laporta. I think he's great. I think that he's going to be, like you said, in a couple years, the tight end is hopefully going to really change up. Hopefully Deuce Robinson comes in, Brock Bowers, Jatavian Sanders, I think, is going to be the guy to replace Travis Kelce, like literally on the Chiefs, replace Travis Kelce. I could see him being a great fit in Kansas City. But as of right now, if we're talking about drafting right now, Sam Laporta is my guy for Dynasty for sure.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. Where I'm saying that, like, I'm like as of right now this year, this is what it is. When Brock Bowers gets drafted, I am fully ready to make him the Dynasty tight end 1. But again, he could get drafted to the fucking, I don't know, to the Ravens or some shit like that. Like I can't think of trying to think of like a really bad spot. Tight end's so wide open that it's like hard to get a bad spot.
Sure.
And not perform, especially when you're his talent. I guess Arthur Smith. But to me, it's wide open. Then we got someone like Dalton Kincaid. Do you think he is going to come along this year? I think we're already seeing him on the field. He's clearly he's a tight end in name only, in my opinion. To me, he's a slot. I do think that we expected him to be the second target on this team a little too early. Gabe Davis. The thing is, Gabe Davis is appropriately priced now. So now Gabe Davis is cool. Last year, Gabe Davis, he was getting that brand new money, and I didn't like that. Justin, where are you at with Kincaid?
I think sometimes, in the fantasy industry, we kind of overhype these guys just because we want to be right on them. I don't think anybody's wrong on Dalton Kincaid right now. I just think sometimes you got to really look at what the system is. And when it's a luxury piece, it doesn't always click right away. because you've already got in those set-in pieces. You've got your Diggs, you've got your Davis. James Cook is coming along. What's left for Dalton Kincaid? And Josh Allen still runs the ball heavily in this offense. So, I think luxury picks, we always tend to like make more of it than it is. And we tend to be like, oh, this guy is going straight to the moon. Like, you see what offense he's on? Yeah, you see what offense he's on. It's going to take a minute for them to build that trust. Diggs has already got the trust. Gabe Davis has proven he's got the trust as well. James Cook is just now getting that rub. And Dalton Kincaid is the fourth man on that totem pole. So obviously it's not going to come all the way down to him. Nobody's going to be looking at him the way that Jared Goff is looking to Sam Laporta as the number 2 option in that offense. So I think, as far as Kincaid goes, I like the talent. I think he's going to be a rock solid guy in this team, but you just got to give him a little bit more time. Time can be your enemy. So some people kind of feel the urge to sell now and get pieces. I would go and grab Dalton Kincaid. If you're even a contender, I would go and grab him because there's a good chance he could go off in the second half of this year.
Yeah, one league I have Sam Laporta and Kincaid, and I think that's fucking sweet.
Nice.
Because I think that Kincaid's going to be fine. Because and again, he's already getting targets. He's not like it's not that. He's just not Sam Laporta, if you really think about it. If Sam Laporta wasn't doing what he's doing, then we're thinking, yeah, Dalton Kincaid's going to be fun. We just got to give him a little bit. Chuck, do you have anything to add?
What I watch what's going on with him, it feels very much like Mark Andrews' rookie year, where he was kind of fighting with Hayden Hurst. And eventually, he kind of, towards the back half of the year, he didn't blow up, but he started to win more. He started to participate in more routes, snap a share, and then 2019, like the blow up comes, right? Like that just happened this last week, they were pretty neck and neck. And then in a divisional game, in the biggest game of the season for any team, really, he doubled Dawson Knox's route participation. Like it's coming along. It's just coming along at a tight end pace, which is really, you have to compare it completely differently to any other pace of any other player on the field, because no position is more dependent on more factors outside of their control than the tight end. So I think like you guys said, we're already seeing the seeds of what will be a very nice, consistent top 5 career. See ya.
I know that the next guy, like to me, we're getting like a good range where like Sam Laporta is great. Dalton Kincaid is fine. Michael Mayer, man. Austin Hooper. What the fuck is this? And I don't know. I told everyone that Michael Mayer isn't that good, but he's also on the Raiders. So he's clearly not as talented as Kincaid and Laporta for various reasons. He's not as good as an athlete, but man, the Raiders suck. Hooper's still a thing. He won't die. Chuck, I'll let you start this one.
This one, I'm gonna take it out of Michael's hands here, and I'm gonna say we're not gonna be able to fully evaluate this kid until McDaniels is gone. McDaniels, we joked about this on a previous show, to where all he's done is be the rebellious teenager, and he's doing everything he didn't do in New England, everything. And that includes not utilizing the tight ends in a meaningful way. And so I think that this is all a complete wash, and this kid his breakout might be in a couple of years too. The Laporta pick for the Lions, obviously looking tremendously better by the day. But I mean, it's just this Raiders team, Devontae Adams is a seller right now, not just in fantasy, but in NFL trade deadline. He is the most rumored player on Twitter right now in trades. And that's not just from fans, that's from beat writers and from people speculating. This team is just, everybody's on their way out, and hopefully he doesn't get lost in the shuffle, because I actually do think he'll have something to offer.
Yeah. To me, he's he kind of screams Hayden Hurst, because Hayden Hurst was never bad. Mark Andrews was just a fucking stud, he's Mandrews.
Yeah.
So and then he kind of bounced around into bad situations, but he looked good in Cincinnati. I just think
Yep.
the Panthers are bad. Hayden Hurst isn't that good. So, like, that's kind of what it looks like for Michael Mayer. I don't own any, and this is like I didn't own any before this because I told everyone that Sam Laporta was better. But also that like the Raiders itself is like a red stain right now, and I don't know when it's going to
big
go
time.
away. Yeah, Justin, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm all about getting some Michael Mayer. If you can get him cheap, more power to you. I mean, this guy profiles out perfectly like Gronk, and I don't know why in a New England schemed offense you wouldn't do that. So it's troubling, and I live with a Raider fan, so I hear the whines on Sunday. I hear the bitching and the moaning on Sundays. It's the whole fan base, and I completely understand it because I see some of the bonehead things that they do, and I'm just like, this is why you will never win a Super Bowl, because you just consistently do bonehead things and bring terrible culture into it. And now you throw in the aspect of Las Vegas there, where every team seems to have won but the Raiders. I mean, we're talking about the Aces, we're talking about the Golden Knights. Every team that goes to Vegas does well except for the freaking Raiders.
Shout out to Kelsey Plum.
There you go.
Mhm.
So yeah, Michael Mayer, I like him as somebody who could surprise you because you guys are talking about it. There's a fire sale that could happen. And what happens in a fire sale? You tend to put rookies in and you tend to just, clean house and see what they got. And I want them to put Michael Mayer in and just see what he's got, because when you saw on tape at Notre Dame, you saw somebody who can be a very dominating force, can really take over a game. And yeah, why not? Why not? Just give it a shot. I mean, you got Michael Mayer on the cheap. You could probably get him even cheaper now. I'd say just go for it. If you can get Michael Mayer for a third-round pick, I think you won. Even if you lost, I think you won.
Nice.
That's not bad. Not bad at all. Well, we'll end it right there, folks. That's the rookie class as of this week. We'll check back in a little bit later. We'll be here at this same time. Maybe Andrew will have his kids asleep at that time. We'll never know. Maybe Fantasy Jesus will be gone. So
I've never seen his kid. I've never seen his kid. I've never seen his kids. I want them on the stream before I start believing this. Even as a ghost.
It's like a show Veep. A guy keeps saying, "I gotta let my dog out," and the breed of dog is called a Bull Shih Tzu. Yeah. As always, my name is Jagger. You can catch me at Fantasy Blue Chip, and then with me is Justin Herrera at Simtex Max 93, and then Chuck Bass FF. You can see us also on another fantasy show on Sundays, and then Justin is over on our Big Brother channel on the main stuff all the time. So always check us out. Give us a follow. Yeah. We'll see you guys on the next one.